independence and success, but enough about Coach Hall. If you're a little kid growing up to be the tallest kid in your class, and you're from Lithonia, Georgia, Main Street, Lithonia, Georgia, and you're growing up in the 50s and playing Class B high school basketball. The only two films we had at our school about basketball and how to play basketball. One was about the University of Kentucky, and the one was about UCLA. I grew up feeling that Kentucky basketball was God. And now we have God with us. So Coach Hall, thank you for lending your presence here with us today. This is about Kentucky. Jack has analyzed the race correctly. It is also about trust. I think that every election really comes down to a question of trust. Let's start with some very fundamental things. When I came in here, I thought we might have a school lunch here. I mean, this looks like a lunch table. And, maybe I've been to too many of these, but I was expecting food. But if you abolish the Department of Agriculture, which is what the other side in the Senate race wants to do, a program that was put together by Dick Russell out of Georgia before Sam Nunn was on the Armed Services Committee and succeeded him. And he was done, quite frankly, to nourish our undernourished youngsters in the rural areas so they could be of service to the United States military, believe it or not. The rationale for the school lunch program in the Department of Agriculture to use farmers' goods and services and for the benefit of our young people, that program would be gone. Now, quite frankly, we can't have that. We can't have it for the nourishment of the 500,000 kids in Kentucky, and we can't have that with our national defense because the school lunch program feeds them both. I would say, too, that I come to Kentucky with two other iconic sites in mind. One is Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and the other is Fort Knox. If you're an Army guy like I am, you grow up with the legend of the 101st Airborne, sometimes now called the 101st Air Assault. I was with the 1st Air Cavalry Division in Vietnam, and we developed air assault, and the 101st stole it from us. But if you grow up in the Army, as I did, you realize how important those military bases are, not only to our nation and to Kentucky, but to the world. Now, you can imagine if you are a youngster who has been in the Army as a volunteer and you've served 2 or 3 tours in Iraq and now, like a friend of mine, you're on your 5th tour actually, and now in Afghanistan. And you happen to be of color. You can imagine coming back to Fort Campbell or coming back to Fort Knox and hearing somebody run for the United States Senate that questions right out of the box when he wins the Republican nomination here in this state, questions right out of the box whether or not he can sit down and have a hamburger with a battle buddy of his choice. That is unbelievable, quite frankly. And secondly, as someone who was in the military and who got wounded and has come back and spent a lot of time with wounded veterans, I can't imagine the 50,000 new disabled due to the war in Iraq and Afghanistan just since 2003. I can't imagine how they would feel coming back to Fort Campbell or Fort Knox and hearing a candidate for the United States Senate say they didn't believe in the Americans with Disability Act and that they probably should get a job on the first floor. Now, just for the record, the United States Senate is on the second floor. And I was able to get there by good people like you all. Now, I think you have as fine and clear a choice as there is in America today between somebody who is a Kentucky thoroughbred who understands the real issues of this campaign are about pretty horses, fast women, and enough bourbon whiskey to enjoy the boat. Now, you have to be a son of Kentucky to get that. And he is also a thoroughbred horse, a part owner, named after a friend of his, a 23-year-old man who got killed in an automobile accident. So this young man that you have running, and he is young. Anybody under my age is young. This young man here is a star. He is a rock star, not only for Kentucky, but for our country. And he holds out tremendous hope for thinking through issues like he has as Attorney General and seeing the problems of child pornography, seeing the problems of and needing to whip up on oil companies and drug companies as he has done, and reclaiming money for the citizens of Kentucky, and balancing his budget in his office and actually reducing it to a certain extent. He knows what it's all about, and he knows how government works, and he knows how to work it for the interest of the people here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, versus a man who maybe I should seek spiritual guidance from Aqua Buddha. Maybe that's what I should. Maybe that's where I went wrong in my life. But the views that he has held since he was a young man at Baylor continue to be absolutely off the wall, quite frankly. And they won't work also. And the American people and the people here in Kentucky are looking for what works for them, what feeds their children, what helps them get a job, what keeps our culture moving forward, not backward. We don't want to go backward and wipe out the Civil Rights Act. We don't want to go backward and wipe out the American Disability Act. And when it comes to veterans, quite frankly, you take that attitude that somehow government intervened in the lives of the American people. Well, oh hell yeah, it's called the draft. Every World War II veteran, every Korean veteran, and every Vietnam veteran understands that. Well, if the government ever intervened in your life like that, you would want the government to stand tall when you came back home. And you know who makes sure that happens? You know who makes sure that they get after the commander-in-chief, whoever the president is, to make sure that happens? It's United States senators, quite frankly. I played that role. And I do hope you win. I hope you win for not only Kentucky, but I hope you win for veterans around this country. We need you on the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. We need you on the Senate Armed Services Committee. We need you there because I know your heart's in the right place. I trust you. I do not trust the other side, quite frankly, when the chips are down, to feed the children of Kentucky, to fight for veterans' benefits when they deserve it. You know, the truth of the matter is that veterans gave it the office. All this stuff that's called veterans' benefits was all prepaid. Prepaid. Health care. And now, thank God, we got the tuition program of the GI Bill. The GI Bill is the best thing that ever happened to American veterans. And it returns $3 to $5 to the economy for every dollar that's spent on it. So it's a self-generating, job-creating program. But if you are all on the other side in this race, you know, you don't believe in federal intervention. Okay, I get that. That's the libertarian point of view. But I believe in it because the government has intervened in my life, I guarantee you, and in the lives of millions of American veterans in this country, and hundreds of thousands of veterans in the state of Kentucky, especially the 50,000 that are disabled. You can't tell the veterans of this state you can only work on the first floor. You can't say that. And you can't tell those wonderful people to come back from Iraq and Afghanistan after the 4th and 5th tour in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, or Fort Knox, that somehow maybe the country they thought they had is somehow maybe not there anymore? No. Kentucky is going to send a message. I'll tell you that right now. And Kentucky is going to send a message that this state believes in veterans and taking care of those who took care of us, and they're going to do it by voting for Jack